Welcome to Wild Times in Minnesota Lake Country with Kelly and Carol.
Hello
And
there.
hi, maybe you should call this show Wild Love in Minnesota Lake Country, a special edition for Valentine's Day.
I think we should. It's that time of year
It
for
is.
people, for the two-legged and the four-legged, as a matter
Ooh.
of fact. So,
Woo-hoo. So we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that happen as spring is almost in the air, although we have had Groundhog's Day, and I guess we have 6 more weeks of winter.
you think?
Darn rodent.
I think I just hope we don't have 6 more months of winter.
Yeah. Yes. So we're going to talk today about some of the rituals, maybe some of the sounds of our wild friends out in the wild that you may hear if you're outside. Of course, Kelly and I are back in the studio today. It is bone-chilling cold out there. I don't know how anything could produce any love sound in this kind of weather, but they do miraculously. They do.
They do, yes. Yep. It is kind of funny to think about how that happens. But yes, this time of year, originally, I don't know if you know any history about Valentine's Day, but originally Valentine's Day was kind of conjured up based on the idea that birds are in the spring are starting to sing more, and there was a poem created about lovebirds coming together, basically. And so anyway, it didn't really come about until, really, the 16th century or something. I don't know, a long, long time ago. But it was about animals, right? Falling in love. So, but you just don't really think about that in February. However, it can happen. So yeah, even in northern Minnesota, there is love happening outdoors, even in February.
Love is in the air. All right. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun little topic. So what can we look for? I noticed this morning, it's starting to get lighter outside, which is great. And I know that we've talked about this with birds and other varmints, coming out of their torpor or their from being nestled in all winter long, their deep sleep, their hibernation. But does light have anything to do with love being in the air, or is it just kind of a primal thing where all of a sudden February comes around and they're like, I feel a little something extra going on?
Yes.
I got to go get that box of chocolates. Oh, okay. Kelly must be feeling something extra going on. Okay.
Yeah. Well, some of your favorite chocolates are available this time of year. Don't miss out.
And we'd like you to sponsor us if you could. Chocolates, box of chocolates.
So yes, obviously. So the daylight is really important when it comes to hormones in animals, actually. So indicators of getting animals ready, or birds ready to start to migrate, is relevant to that change in light. And no doubt that's the same for mating season too. That happens. I'm not sure that it's like universal. All of the animals react to that, but certainly I know today it was good to feel some sunshine today, even though it's bitterly cold outside. The sunshine sure feels good. So yeah, so the first one that always comes to mind for me in terms of mating seasons this time of year in the winter, those that can handle the cold, are bald eagles. very, very much a Minnesota thing, right? To have bald eagles. But February is the time, as you know, bald eagles mate for life. They're reconnecting with their loved one this time of year, and they are adding a little bit to their nest, and some of those rituals that kind of get them in the mood, I guess, maybe is doing those kind of things, like creating a comfy home for that nest to occur over the spring, and even into summer, as you know, that not only laying and sitting on eggs and raising their young. I mean, it's not until almost the 4th of July before the young leave the nest. So this is going to be a long time that they're spending in this space. So they put some work into making sure that's a nice little space.
How long does it take for the gestation of, when they plop out their eggs?
Yeah, so they're adding to their nest. This is a time that mating occurs, and it won't be long before they're starting to lay eggs. Usually, it's not unusual to see eggs in March, and have some eagles roosting or sitting on eggs at that time in through March, or when we're still getting some snow. So I think that's kind of neat that you might actually see an eagle sitting, hunkered down with snow on top, trying to keep these eggs warm, because it won't be until April or sometimes a little later, May, before the little eggs hatch. And then there's a lot of feeding and care that has to happen before those young get big enough to take off. So yeah,
the little fuzzy gray.
They are kind of cute in their own little way. So we're definitely seeing a lot of activity in terms of bald eagles.
Okay.
But there are other animals that are thinking about having a family at this time. And as we're snowshoeing, and the last time we went snowshoeing, we saw some fox tracks. Fox are also one that are, this is the time that they're breeding, as well as, I think, the red fox. Mm-hmm. And in fact, what's kind of odd is the red fox can, not all of them are making a really nice nest. Some, their rituals are a little bit more, violent. A little bit more loud, so you might hear more vocalization of animals during this time, and fox are one, and they do kind of make a blood-curdling screaming sound during the mating season. So watch out for that.
I think we had them on as a mystery sound once, and it was blood-curdling. Yes. If I heard that in the woods, I wouldn't be in the woods too much longer. But that would be probably in stereo, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Or maybe not.
Okay. Maybe just the female carrying on. Yes, hard to say. Also, coyotes and wolves. This is they're coming into heat, and there's so there's breeding activity happening in that world as well. So a lot of our mammals are thinking about breeding season, getting active, I guess. So again, as you're snowshoeing and skiing, you might see a little bit more movement and activity. Some of these animals have to kind of find themselves. There's just a lot more commotion happening. I know people have talked about that happening around the squirrel feeders, especially starting this time of year. If it's not too cold and they're just going into torpor, they might be chasing each other up and down the trees. So if you see the squirrels just, chasing each other through the woods. That's a breeding activity, generally speaking.
Do squirrels, because I look out my front window in the middle of town and I see squirrels doing that like every day. They're extra squirrely. And I often see bunnies hopping around, chasing each other a lot, but do they have, is everyday mating season for those little varmints?
Well, that's the story with rabbits, right?
Yes, that's why I asked.
Every day, all the time.
That's where that saying comes from.
But yes, definitely, rabbits and squirrels are certainly active right now.
So any day is fair game for those two.
It seems.
And we have otters. Otters are out and about. They're around all winter, getting in and out of the water. But is this time of year, do we see them performing their rituals, and are they monogamous?
Oh, otters.
Know that?
I don't know about otters. Mink are not. Mink are very promiscuous. And will mate with several others. I'm not 100% sure about otters. I don't. Yeah, I mean, their family groups stay together, but I'm not sure the same male sticks around.
Okay.
And so otters can, they'll be doing their mating thing at various times, like maybe December through spring. But they're able to delay implantation. So even though they may have collected the sperm, they can delay the implantation of that egg, so that the timing is right in terms of having their young born at the right time in spring, and not, when it's so cold, it would be difficult for the animals.
So have you learned if that's an automatic thing? I mean, does that just happen? So it just, it's like a time capsule sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know how it I'm not sure how that happens. That'll be a good one to explore. How delayed implantation timing works out.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. So otters, mink, beaver, this is all happening right now in the middle of winter.
So is it in their dens, or is it like this photo that we're looking at? And for those who are listening, we're looking at a couple otters on the ice. Do they do it in public? So is it a public display of affection? Is it even affection? Otters, tell us.
Yeah, well, I would say for many animals, they don't have to be secret about it. It's just natural, a la natural in nature.
So it's not necessarily, so if you see a couple otters on the ice or all over each other, they very well could be mating.
Yes.
Or fighting.
Or fighting. It could be mink. Yep. Yes, that's true. Okay. Whenever yep. Don't keep it clean.
I can't imagine any of that is going on in this bitter cold. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody who would being out there documenting any of these animals in the bitter cold. Maybe that's why we don't know.
Well, if you're an avid photographer like our local Rob Larson, who took this picture of otters, I think you just happen to be there at the right time, the right place.
Right.
You never know what kind of things you might catch animals doing. Sometimes it's just odd. Well, another one that happens this time of year, or, is an early nester, is the great horned owl. They are early nesters, and the advantage to that is that they often use other birds' nests. So the great horned owl will, likely take over an osprey nest. In our area, we have a lot of osprey nests. So So first come, first serve, right? So yeah, this owl is like, sweet, I don't have to, my nest is ready for me. I don't have to do anything and just take over the nest. And so early nesting works well for them. So great horned owls are breeding, but laying eggs pretty early too. So their young are going to be born pretty early in the spring.
And that must be why they're called wise, because they recycle other nests or repurpose other nests.
They're very environmentally responsible that way.
And thrifty.
And thrifty, yes. That's true.
So we're talking about wild love in Minnesota Lake Country today, our special Valentine episode. And love is in the air these days here in Minnesota Lake Country in our wild world. Some wild, wonderful, and what am I missing? Weird sometimes.
Weird. Acts of love. Weird. Yeah, talk about weird. Then porcupines. Oh. Have you ever wondered, it's one of those, have you ever wondered how porcupines do it? Because that just seems like a tricky business, which it is kind of tricky business. And in the porcupine world, now they aren't necessarily February maters, but a little bit later, March, April probably is more their time frame. But the female porcupine has all the control, because if she's not receptive, then her quills are going to keep every guy at bay, right? Nice. So, and there have certainly been incidents where males will have quills actually stuck in their face, where normally a porcupine does not have quills around their face. And that's generally due to a unfortunate breeding experience. So watch out. But yeah, that's got to be the weird of it. When she is receptive, then the quills, she'll lift her tail and the quills are out of the way.
Very interesting. Yes, so that's good stuff to know as we're heading out, getting outside. Even if it's bone-chilling cold, probably a good opportunity to, nobody else will be around for sure on trails. So if you want to go searching for wildlife and hear some of the sounds. So do owls or eagles or any of the birds that would be mating this time of season, do they change their sound a little bit? So
some do and some don't. Some have, especially in the bird world, there are some that have breeding calls, a lot, I should say, that have breeding calls that are a little bit different. We've talked about the chickadee several times and with the different call, and there are definitely some. I'm trying to think of an owl world that their calls are pretty standard, I guess, in terms of calling. In fact, I have one to share. Maybe you can guess which one it is.
Okay. All right. So this would be our category, our segment of the mystery today, bird sound, and we are going to guess which of the owl family this is, because all the different owls have different sounds, which I think is fascinating.
Yes, it would be boring if they all sounded the same. So what do you think? Yeah, which one do you think this one is?
It's got a little growl almost at the end of that hoot.
Yeah, so
rolling its hoot.
Yes.
I love it. I could listen to that all day. So obviously it's some owl that's found in Minnesota Lake Country, and it isn't the great horned owl, but is it I'm trying to think of some of the other owls that I know.
Yeah,
It's not the screech owl. Is it the barred owl?
we do have barred owl in this area. Yes, so that's the one that often does the who cooks for you hoot. Or as they often say, if you live down south, who cooks for you all. But yeah, the barred owl has such a neat call. And so now is a great time to start listening for those calls in the evenings. Barred owls will start calling as they start developing their territories. And I feel like I hear a little more of it in March, but certainly it begins in February as breeding season is underway for owls. And but when you get owls, they will like call back and forth. So, you've heard of going on owl calls. If you give a hoot, they'll hoot back. And that happens, in the real world too. So a barred owl will give out a hoot, and then another owl close by will hoot back. And pretty soon they have this hooting going back and forth so quickly that it almost sounds like monkeys in the trees when they really start, those hoots start going back and forth. It's like as though you've got a couple of monkeys in the trees around. It's just kind of cool how that
like
happens.
a jungle.
Yes. Yes, it's pretty fun to hear. So that's the barred owl. That's good.
All right. Well, kind of since we're on the topic of owls and mysteries, is that the little barred owl right there?
Yeah, sorry. So that's the picture of the barred owl. So, on a great horned owl, the great horned owl has tufts on the ear. They're pretty similar in size. So the great horned owl has the tufts on the ears and big yellow eyes. Of course, a lot of our owls have big eyes anyway. And kind of the discs on the face are, to me, I feel like they're a little bit more small and oval shaped.
Right.
And you'll notice the feathers on the belly are kind of broken up quite a bit and go left and right. They're
almost like stripes.
Yeah, but horizontal stripes compared to the barred owl, which are vertical stripes on the belly. And that helps them kind of blend in a little bit better with the trunk of the tree. But you can see the discs around the eye, or the way the feathers are shaped around the eye, is really kind of big. I think they have a big circle of, around there, and no ear tufts. They have a nice round head too.
And darker eyes?
Yeah.
This picture looks like he has black eyes.
Almost. Yeah, they are a little darker. Yep. Compared to, I feel like the great horns are just bright yellow often. Yeah, pretty bright.
Okay. All right. So our great horned and our barred owl.
Barred, and that's BARRED, barred, not BARN, barn.
Okay. Which there is a barn owl, isn't there?
There is a barn owl. It's and it's actually kind of rare in Minnesota. And usually found, I think, more southeast Minnesota, I believe, that will have more opportunity for barn owls, but very common to see the barred owl. And of course the feathers, the vertical bars, barred owl. Yep.
Great. All right. Here, wild times in Minnesota Lake Country. Our fluffy owl friends. All right. And so that brings us to the segment that we have today, where one of our viewer listeners contacted us because there was kind of a mystery in his front yard in town in Detroit Lakes. And we're going to share the photo that was sent. And this was sent probably a couple weeks ago, but I'm wondering if maybe you, Kelly, might know what this is. The scene of the crime, we'll call it. And, you know, it looks like somebody had a rather violent end to their life. Some little creature, and it looks like a owl, a bigger bird, a bird of prey, was on the hunt in somebody's backyard in town. So kind of it's very interesting. It's kind of a cool picture because you see it's like their own snow angel, the natural world.
Yeah, I love these pictures. I think it's just so cool when you can see where a bird has been in the snow. You often see mammal tracks and evidence of deer and squirrels and rabbits, but it's not very often that you see remnants of a bird in the snow or bird tracks. I mean, for one thing, a lot of the birds don't land, on the ground in the snow,
Right.
Although you will see grouse and turkeys and crow tracks, in the snow. But this is really cool. I wish I knew what
and it looks like it dragged. It looks like whatever it was attacking was dragged through the snow or had a longer tail.
So in this picture, you can see the wing marks, the primary wings probably, or primary feathers hit the ground and make marks as they're going to capture this. But yeah, right in town, I mean, we have the barred owls and the great horned owls, screech owls. They often live right in the trees around homes in town. Mm-hmm. And because, and they're finding food in town too. And of course, in this case, it's something that was either crawling under the snow where owls are really good at hearing that scruffing happening underneath the snow, and they can capture it. But great horned owls will certainly eat squirrels, and they've even been known to eat something as big as a skunk. Doesn't have to be a tiny mouse that it's after, but
do you think this could have been an eagle?
Oh, I don't think the wingspan looks quite that big.
Right. Well, our friend said it was about a 32-inch span, at least from the top to the tip to the wherever the those impressions are, but that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So it could have been,
Right. So our owls will have a wingspan of, a good 5 feet or so. Okay. So that's definitely possible. And it
could have been, could it have been a hawk?
It could be a hawk. We certainly have, sharp chin hawks that are going after birds in backyards.
Yeah, I've seen that happen in our backyard a couple summers ago. So that's very interesting. So this is great. I mean, this is truly a mystery and that will probably never be solved, but it's a very cool, very wild and weird picture. One of those things that happen in the natural world, a predator attacking its prey, eating. I'm sure I think a couple weeks ago it was a little warmer outside, but birds got to eat.
Yes. I love watching stories in the snow like this. It is like coming up on a crime scene that you're trying to figure out what could have happened here, whose tracks are whose and who got there first, and were they all there at the same time, or that I love it's that is like a puzzle, a fun winter puzzle is watching tracks like that in the snow.
Right. Yeah. So if anybody has pictures or something, even a sound that you record, you can always send it to us on our email. It's wildtimesinmnlakecountry@gmail.com. Or you could, I believe on Spotify, there's a link that you can also shoot us a message, or I think maybe even send a photo if you could. And then some of you who personally know us can always shoot us a text. We'll accept those. But it's great to see some of these findings because, if you find something cool like that, why not share it? And we can kind of enjoy it or break it down together. So don't hesitate. So Wild Times in MN Lake Country @gmail.com. You can shoot us a message, an email, and a photo or an audio sound. That would be very neat. And, maybe you can even come on our show when we're out and about and talk about it. That would be kind of fun. So Kelly, it's always a wild time in the studio with you and outdoors, and hopefully we'll be able to get out soon again and enjoy our beautiful lake country. It is very cold, so we would work in the cold, but I don't know so much that our mechanicals would work very well in the cold. So
batteries are kind of a funny thing in the winter.
Certainly are.
In the extra cold.
But love always works. Yeah, happy Valentine's to you too.
Oh, that's sweet.
My little sign language, little heart. So get out and enjoy. Fall in love with what's around you, the natural world, and have a wild time until we meet again. I'm Carol.
And I'm Kelly.